Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Whatever. We're live. What is up, guys? It's Alex Johnson here, the founder and lead analyst of YardsPerFantasy.com. Welcome into the 130th episode of the Feed Me Fantasy podcast. Let's eat. So as usual, today we're talking ads, drops, buys, and sells for week 8. And we don't typically talk about the obvious waiver wire ads like Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Foreman, Gus Edwards, and so on. Most waivers have already run at this point, and every analyst in the world is already talking about those guys. But before we get too far into things, let me remind you to get on Underdog Fantasy and start drafting weekly teams. It's basically DFS and snake draft forms, or you can play their pick'ems contest, where you can take the overs or unders on player props for their favorite players. When you sign up for Underdog, use promo code YARDSPER to get a $100 deposit match. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. You can also use that same code YARDSPER to get a 125% deposit bonus on BetUS if you're into sports betting. I highly encourage it. Just sign up, use promo code YARDSPER, get your free money, and start betting. Easy as that. Let's get to it. Let's get to the show. We'll start with a sell. And kind of like last week, it's maybe a little bit controversial. And that is, I want you to sell Deebo Samuel. That's right. And I know Deebo is great. We all know that. But other than Jeff Wilson, Samuel may be the member of the Niners offense most negatively impacted by the team's acquisition of Christian McCaffrey. Once he's fully acclimated to the offense, which based on week 7, it's not going to take long. McCaffrey's going to be the center of everything they do in San Francisco. Not only will they lean heavily on McCaffrey in the run game, but we all know how talented he is as a pass catcher. McCaffrey is going to take some of those underneath catch and run opportunities that Deebo has been getting. And we know a lot of Samuel's points come from lining up in the backfield and taking rush attempts to the end zone. I'm not sure they will need to do that anymore. They're not going to need to do that anymore, considering the versatile weapon in McCaffrey that they just acquired. Of course, they will find other ways to get Deebo the ball. But there's no doubt some of his fantasy points are going to be funneled to Christian McCaffrey and ultimately capping his ceiling. And not to mention, Brandon Ayuk has been ascending. He's had 22 targets over the last 2 weeks. And George Kittle is back to being a significant factor in the passing game too. He's had a 20% target share in 3 straight games. So if I have Deebo Samuel in any of my leagues, I'm putting him on the trade block and I'm fielding offers, seeing what happens. But on the flip side, somebody I am out trying to buy right now is Raheem Mostert. I never thought I'd say that, but I'm buying Raheem Mostert. Chase Edmonds came into the season as the Miami RB1, and we were drafting him. We thought, passing game usage, we thought it might happen for Chase Edmonds. He's a great value in the 9th round, whatever. But it wasn't long before Raheem Mostert ate into that role and then completely took it over. Mostert has now averaged 16 carries per game over the last 4 weeks. And he's done well with those attempts. He's getting opportunities as a receiver as well. And in fact, he's with just Leonard Fournette and Joe Mixon as one of 3 running backs who have at least 20 routes in each of the last 4 weeks. That's according to Josh Larkin on Twitter. Go follow him. You probably already are. And Mostert found the end zone on a receiving touchdown in week 7. The Miami offense is one of the most electric units in the league when Tua Tagovailoa is healthy. So go buy their bell cow back, get Raheem Mostert, put him in your lineup. I have him ranked as a top 10 running back for week 8. So another guy I'm going out there and I'm trying to buy is Rachaad White. I talked about Rachaad White as a must-add off the waiver wire a few weeks back. We talked about him as a nice late-round value to draft during draft season. And when I talked about him a few weeks back, I even called him the most valuable handcuff in fantasy football. And I recommended you trade for him in leagues where he was already rostered. And then while I typically don't do repeats on this show during this game plan series that we have, I did feel it's important enough to bring back Rachaad. This is how badly I want to go get Rachaad White and how much I'm recommending you go get him. I'm bringing him back in week 8. The Bucs offense is in trouble and changes could be coming. And Rick Stroud, the Tampa Bay beat reporter, paraphrased Todd Bowles after Sunday's loss on Twitter, saying they have to see if the older guys can still play and if the younger guys are good enough to play. That's what Todd Bowles said after the loss to Carolina. Now, we could interpret that as saying some veterans are in danger of being benched. And considering Leonard Fournette has averaged fewer than 3 yards per carry in 5 of 7 games, the running back position could be one of those where the team wants to see if younger guys are good enough. And it may already be happening. In week 8, Leonard Fournette, he played a season-low 60% of the snaps, while Rachaad White played a season-high 43%. And White also ran 20 routes to Fournette's 24, and we know how good White is in the passing game. Now, I don't expect a full changing of the guard anytime soon, but I would not be shocked to see White become at least the lead guy in this backfield. And even if I'm wrong, Rachaad White still has huge appeal as the handcuff to Fournette in an offense that we have to believe is going to find its way eventually, right? They're going to get it going. It's Tom Brady, it's Mike Evans, it's Chris Godwin. They're going to get this shit together, right? Come on. And that would totally unlock Rachaad White if he eventually finds himself in the RB1 chair. So another guy that I'm adding off the waiver wire where he's still available, he shouldn't still be available, but if he is. But if I have him on my roster, I know a lot of people picked him up Sunday morning with these tweets from Ian Rappaport. And that's Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not dropping him. Do not drop him. Add him if he's available. Maybe even buy low. And I know we talked about Isaiah Pacheco Day. It was kind of a bit on the Sunday morning show. I made a video on it real quick Sunday morning, and I talked about it on Twitter. I declared week 7 Isaiah Pacheco Day, and it was kind of a dud. It was kind of a dud. But it was still encouraging that he was announced as the starter, for one, after taking first-team reps during the week. That's encouraging. So things are at least trending in Isaiah Pacheco's way. And he did, in fact, out-snap and out-touch Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the first time this season. And it wasn't the full takeover that we were hoping for, but it's a great step. It's a great step, and it's a situation we have to keep monitoring. If Pacheco continues to take advantage of his opportunities, more are going to come his way. And as we've seen with CEH, touches in this Kansas City backfield, they will eventually lead to touchdowns. Those could start going to Pacheco as opposed to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So let's go to the waiver wire. We talked a lot of trades and so forth to start this show. Let's go to the waiver wire. And I said at the beginning of the show, we're not going to talk about the obvious guys the Deontay Foremans, the Chuba Hubbards, the Gus Edwards. Waiver wires are done. You've already picked those guys up, and they were probably already rostered anyway. But one guy that's still available in most leagues, I don't know the exact number like on Yahoo and stuff, but he's still available in a lot of leagues. That's Craig Reynolds. DeAndre Swift was not able to return from injury coming out of the bye, which was a little bit of a surprise. He could be back in week 8. We don't know yet. Practice reports, we're still waiting on that. And that, of course, would make the recommendation of going to get Craig Reynolds irrelevant. Forget it. But in the case that DeAndre Swift sits again, Craig Reynolds is worth an ad as a possible streamer. For bye weeks, some people lost Breece Hall. And if Swift remains out for multiple weeks, we got 6 teams on a bye next week. 6 teams on a bye next week. We got Austin Eckler on a bye this week. Edwards-Helaire, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, they're all on a bye. You may need. I don't know. Maybe you need a running back. Consider Craig Reynolds because Jamal Williams, he fumbled in week 7, and Dan Campbell said after the game, quote, "If you can't hold on to the football, you can't play for us." So that could indicate that Reynolds sees more work in place of Williams in week 8. And against the Cowboys, Reynolds led Lions running backs with 11 routes, which was a 34% route participation rate. And before the bye, Reynolds had a 68-yard receiving game against New England. And we know he can get fantasy points when given the opportunity, considering he scored a top 24 running back in weeks 14 and 15 in 2021 when both Swift and Williams were out. So we know he has it in him. This is not a long-term play, like I said, but with all the bye weeks, he's a viable streaming option in deep leagues where you need a 1-week or a 2-week running back for as long as DeAndre Swift remains sidelined. So I was going to talk about Rashad Bateman as a buy. Maybe we could still talk about him. But then he's on the injury report with that foot again. I don't know if that's just, maybe they're just being cautious with him. We played his first game back, kind of just want to ease him back into the practice routine, whatever, this week. Or if there was a re-aggravation or a continuation of I don't know. We don't know what the situation is. We'll have to see more on the future practice reports and whatever happens with tomorrow night's game. So let's talk about him anyway. If he's healthy, if he's good to go, if that was just a precautionary thing, I'm still trying to buy Rashad Bateman. He returned from a multi-week absence to catch, 4 catches for 42 yards. I think he was targeted 5 times. Not exactly awe-inspiring, I know. However, Lamar Jackson only attempted 16 passes, which is nearly half of his season average. He usually throws around 30 pass attempts a game, only 16 in week 7. So the good news, of those 16 attempts, 31% went to Rashad Bateman. So that's the good news. And on top of that, when we examine my guy Matt Flowers' strength of schedule charts, the Ravens have the best schedule for wide receivers in the fantasy playoffs with games against the Browns, Falcons, and Steelers. So Bateman managers are undoubtedly frustrated at this point. I understand that. They should be. But we saw what he can do with a couple big play scores early in the season. So if he ends up being okay, if the foot's okay, if it checks out, he plays in week 8 tomorrow night, then he's worth making an offer for, especially because it probably won't cost more than a couple bench players to get him. So I'm trying to go get Rashad Bateman if he's cleared to play for week 8. So let's go back to the waiver wire. And speaking of week 8, there's another guy playing on Thursday Night Football for the Bucs that if you need a streamer at the tight end position, Travis Kelce, he's on a bye this week. Gerald Everett, he's been startable. If you've been starting Gerald Everett, he's on a bye this week. There's a bunch of buys next week, 6 teams on a bye, like I mentioned. Cade Otton. Go get Cade Otton off the waiver wire. He ran 72.5% of the routes in Cameron Brate's absence in week 7. And he was targeted 5 times, catching 4 for 64 yards. And when Brate sat out with a concussion a couple weeks back, Otton caught 6 of his 7 targets for 43 yards. Now, we don't know how long Cameron Brate's going to be out, but with a neck injury, he's already had a concussion. I'd imagine it's going to be several weeks at least. So Otton has shown he can be productive when given the opportunity. And it's not like Cameron Brate is freaking Rob Gronkowski out here. Cade Otton, the rookie, he could keep that job even when Cameron Brate returns. So he is a nice priority add off the waiver wire if you're streaming the tight end position this year. Let's go back to the trades, though. Let's go back to the trades. Get another guy we want to buy. That's Tyler Lockett. I am buying Tyler Lockett because it sounds like DK Metcalf, he's going to miss several weeks with that knee injury. Obviously, that leaves Lockett as the top option in what is a surprisingly good, actually a really good Seattle offense. And Geno Smith has been playing fantastic, and he's shown no hesitation to push the ball down the field to his playmaking weapons. Lockett, he's already had multiple 100-yard games, even as the wide receiver 2, alongside DK Metcalf. And he's also had 2 other games where he went over 75 yards. He's getting plenty of looks with a target share over 24% in 5 of his 7 games, including 30% in week 7. And we know Lockett, he can explode for a week winning performance at any time. He's done that his whole career. He'll just kind of be quiet, sitting in the wings, just waiting to go. And then boom, he explodes and he wins you a week. Go buy him now. Enjoy the ride. All right, let's go back. We got one more guy to talk about. I was going to talk about Ezekiel Elliott as a sell as part of this show today, but it sounds like he's probably going to sit out week 8. He's got that knee injury, which really sucks because if you have Ezekiel Elliott, this was your out. This was your time. I talked about on the Sunday morning pregame start sit show. I declared week 7-1. I declared Isaiah Pacheco day, but I declared it week because he was going against the Cowboys. Dak was first game back coming off the thumb. We knew they were going to lean on the running backs against the Lions. And it worked out. He scored 2 touchdowns. So that was our selling point. He scored 2 touchdowns. Zeke is back. Bunch of fantasy points. This is our chance. This is our chance to get out from Zeke and sell him. And then he's got the fucking knee injury that's going to keep him out this week. And nobody's going to buy him. Damn it. So we were going to talk about him. Basically just did anyway. But if anybody in your league is willing to buy Zeke after that 2 touchdown performance, I'd sell him. But anyway, one more guy I want to add off the waiver wire. If you're streaming the tight end position, we talked about Travis Kelce on a bye this week, Gerald Everett on a bye this week, 6 more teams on a bye next week. That's Harrison Bryant. Pick him up, put him in your lineup, stream him. Probably a tight end 2 for the next several weeks because it sounds like David Njoku is going to miss at least a few weeks, probably more, with that ankle injury. And that leaves Harrison Bryant as the top tight end in Cleveland. There's opportunities for targets here. And Bryant has flashed in the past. He's worth an ad if you're streaming the position. But that's it. That's the show. We're going to take some questions. But if you are looking for more Week 8 content, head over to yardsperfantasy.com. Download the Yards Per Fantasy app for articles, rankings, trade calculator, start sit tool, and more. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got for questions? We'll take a few in the chat on YouTube, on TikTok, and we'll get out of here because we do a whole show on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, strictly answering your questions. It's not just me talking. It's you talking to me, and I'm answering your questions. So we do that all on Saturday night, usually around 9 o'clock for an hour or so. Usually get on a roll and even go past an hour. And we do it again first thing, or not first thing Sunday morning, but 12 o'clock Sunday, all the way up till kickoff. All right, so what do we got? Take a few questions here. We'll get out of here. Let's see. We got one on YouTube from Cody. He's asking a dynasty question. Should I trade James Robinson, Chase Claypool, Chuba Hubbard, the 108, the 208 for ETN, the 101 and the 301 in dynasty? So you're giving up Robinson, you're giving up Claypool, you're giving up Hubbard, you're giving up the 108, the 208, and you're also getting ETN, the 101 and the 301. That's insane. That's insane. Yes, you should trade that. Yes. I would do all that for just ETN or just the 101. This is yes. Do this deal. If this is on the table, go make this deal right now. The show is going to be here. Go away from the show. Just make the deal. Yes. Cody, make that trade. Go get ETN. Go get the 101. Hell yeah. For all that trash, basically. Yes. Let's see. TikTok, what do we got? We got Dobbs or Campbell. So Dobbs gave a nice big goose egg in week 7. Paris Campbell, he's been getting a ton of targets. I think he had 19% target share in week 6. It was 27%, I believe, in week. I probably have it right here. In week 8. However, the quarterback change could completely change, how they are playing. It's 19% and 20% over the last 2 weeks for Paris Campbell, which is really good. But the quarterback change does kind of throw a wrench into that. We don't know what Sam Ehlinger, I don't even know how to say his fucking name. We don't know what he is going to be. We don't know how he's going to operate. We don't know who he's going to target. Now, he may still favor Paris Campbell underneath, getting the ball out quick. That might be a good thing. But Ehlinger, he has some athleticism that Matt Ryan does not have. So we could see Ehlinger running around rather than checking it down to Paris Campbell. That concerns me. That rather than, getting the ball out quick, short, underneath, like Matt Ryan was trying to do the last couple of weeks, Ehlinger might stand in there and he might take off and run instead of checking it down. So that's my concern. With that said, we can't trust Romeo Dobbs either. So that's a tough one. I have my rankings right here. Let's see who I've got ranked ahead. It's probably Dobbs, but it's probably close. No, it's actually Campbell. And it is close. I got him a couple of spots ahead. So yeah, I would go Paris Campbell there. We got another one here, a couple more here on YouTube. 12-man PPR redraft. Do I trade Leonard Fournette and Alan Lazard for Travis Etienne, Drake London, and A.J. Dillon? Yeah, I would do that. I'll go get those guys because now London is really disappointing because they're just not throwing the ball at the rate they need to throw the ball at. He's getting a ton of targets. Target share has been fantastic other than this past week. Every single week, he's had a target share in the 20s, 30s, even had a week where he had, I think, it was a 46% share in like week 4 or something. So as soon as the Falcons have a quarterback that decide to throw the ball, London's going to be great. Obviously, that doesn't really help you out a whole lot right now. But he's a fine, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 option in that deal. That's fine. A.J. Dillon is disappointing. Another one that's disappointing. But Travis Etienne is a top 12, top 10 running back rest of the way here, at least. He's going to get a ton of work in the passing game. He's going to get a ton of carries. Doesn't have to worry about James Robinson taking away the touchdowns. wheels up for ETN. And Fournette, as we talked about earlier in the show, he's trending down. He's trending down. He had a season low snap share in week 7. He's been inefficient. The comments from Todd Bowles after the game saying he wants to see some of the younger players get an opportunity moving forward. He didn't specifically indicate that was in reference to Fournette and Rachaad White or the running back position. But we could take it as, that could be one of the positions that they want to see the younger guy play. Rachaad White has flashed. He had a season high snap share in week 7, 43%. We know what he can do in the passing game. So Fournette's trending down. Lazard is a solid, when healthy, wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 3. Yeah, I would definitely go get ETN on this deal. He's the only player on this deal that is ascending, and you're getting him. Go get him. Another one on YouTube here asking, should I keep Alec Pierce at wide receiver or go with Gallup, Wan'Dale Robinson, Zay Jones, or Robert Woods as a stash? So I don't think this is a week 8 start sit question. It sounds like, who should I roster out of these guys? Out of these guys, who I would want to roster is probably Wan'Dale Robinson. He's becoming the wide receiver 1 in New York for the Giants. His snaps and his routes skyrocketed from week 6 to week 7. He played well. He's going to keep getting more opportunities. They need somebody in that offense to step up desperately. And it looks like Wan'Dale is going to be that guy. They just lost Dan Bellinger for a while. That freaky eye injury, that was crazy. So I expect, Wan'Dale to continue to ascend. Alec Pierce, the quarterback change, I'm really concerned. He was inconsistent anyway. Never been a big Alec Pierce guy. Now, my other option here would be probably Zay Jones would be my next choice. He had a 10-target game. He's got some juice. But I would go Wan'Dale, Zay Jones, Robert Woods, Alec Pierce, Michael Gallup. That's the way I would rank those guys rest of season. Got another one on YouTube here from Jackson. Do I start Brian Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, or Gus Edwards? So it sounds like Chuba's got a little bit of an ankle injury. We don't know what's going on with that. I think he sat out of practice today. I think I saw that right before I came on the show. Chuba was out. We don't know if he'll be okay the rest of the week. We don't know. So I would say Brian Robinson, probably your best bet. It's tough though because Gus Edwards and Brian Robinson, they are in complete committee backfields. It's kind of a mess in both. Yeah, that one's a tough one. So actually, thinking about it a little bit more, I think I would go Gus Edwards there. Because, yes, he's also in a messy backfield, like Brian Robinson is. And he's not going to be catching passes, just like Brian Robinson's not going to be catching a lot of passes. But Gus Edwards, he's in the better offense. Let's be real. He's in the better offense. More opportunities to score touchdowns. More efficient offense. I think we'd go Gus Edwards there. Yeah, I think that's the answer. We'll do a couple more and then we'll get out of here. Should I trade DeAndre Hopkins and Waddle for Justin Jefferson and Gabriel Davis? Yeah, I'd do that. Should I go Fournette against Baltimore or Kenneth Walker at the RB2 spot? I would go Kenneth Walker there for sure. We just talked about. I think Fournette's trending down. Walker's trending up. I'd go Walker. Gabe Davis or DJ Moore? I'm going to go Gabe Davis. But it's nice to see DJ Moore unlocked. All we needed was PJ Walker, apparently, to unlock DJ Moore. Hope that continues. But with that said, I'm going Gabe Davis. Melvin Gordon or Latavius Murray. I would go Melvin Gordon there. Yeah. So Melvin Gordon, he took 51% of the snaps in week 7. So he kind of retook at least the lead position in that backfield in week 7. He also had a 9% target share to Latavius Murray 7%. So it sounds like Melvin Gordon's going to be the better play there, but it's kind of a gross situation. Don't love starting either one of them. Ezekiel Elliott or Montgomery. It sounds like Zeke's going to be out, so we're definitely going Montgomery there. Higgins or Gus Edwards for the flex. T. Higgins, please. Is it time to trade CeeDee Lamb or Joe Mixon for better value? So CeeDee Lamb's been getting a ton of targets when Cooper Kupp was in there. But my fear with CeeDee Lamb is that the Cowboys defense is too good. The Cowboys defense is too good. And how does that affect CeeDee Lamb? Because, well, if the Cowboys defense is playing so well, the Cowboys offense is not incentivized to drop back and pass it 40, 45, 50 times a game, which obviously is going to bring down CeeDee Lamb's targets and opportunities to make plays in that offense. So that concerns me. Now, Joe Mixon, he just has been inefficient. He's getting the opportunities. He's getting targets. He's getting goal line carries. He's getting rush attempts. He just hasn't been good with them. And it's frustrating. You would have thought in a game against the Falcons where the Bengals are blowing them out, dominating that game from start to finish, that should have been a Joe Mixon game. I know he got in the end zone, but he didn't look good doing it. And he should have had a lot more production in that game. So am I concerned about both of those players? I'd say yes. More so Mixon than Lamb, but I definitely have my concerns about Lamb as well. Let's take one more. This guy says, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals draft a running back. Joe Mixon's getting to that age. He did just sign a big contract, though, last year, didn't he? Was that last year he signed a big contract? So it might not be time yet. Godwin, Kamara, or Leonard Fournette at the flex. I think we got to go Kamara there. It would come down to Kamara. I'd rank them Kamara, Godwin, Lenny. Do I drop Tua now because he was my Josh Allen bye week fill-in? Obviously, if you have Josh Allen, you don't need Tua Tagovailoa. However, I don't think you want to drop Tua Tagovailoa unless you absolutely have to pick somebody up off the waiver wire to start them this week. You should be able to trade, especially next week. There are 6 teams. 6 teams on a bye next week. So there's going to be people in your league who are hurting at quarterback. And here you go. You got Tua Tagovailoa, who is in a lot of his games has performed as a QB1. Dangle him out there. Here you go. Here's a nice little trade. Package him up. Upgrade somewhere else on your lineup, on your roster. I wouldn't be dropping Tua unless I absolutely had to, even if you have Josh Allen, especially with a guy who runs like Josh Allen. He could go down anytime. You should be able to get a trade for Tua. That's what I would do. All right, I keep saying one more. Let's do one more. Let's get a good one here. They're going so fast, I can't keep up sometimes. Oh, you know what I discovered the other day? If I slide this to the left, it blows up these comments where I don't even need these old man glasses. Let's see. Wandale, Gallup, or Dobbs this week. I'm going to go Wandale Robinson. I'm not ready to play Michael Gallup for partly some of the reason that I just talked about with why I'm a little bit concerned about CeeDee Lamb. They're not incentivized to throw the ball a whole lot. And then Noah Brown has been out targeting Michael Gallup. I think in week 7, it was 26%, 28% target share for Noah Brown, and Michael Gallup had 11%. So Noah Brown is operating as the wide receiver 2 in Dallas, at least right now. So until that changes, and until the Cowboys are incentivized to throw the ball more, I'm not trusting Michael Gallup in any of my lineups. I lost Breece Hall. Who should I try and get for Pittman? Well, Breece Hall is a heartbreak. We love Breece Hall. We absolutely love Breece Hall. So now if you're trading Michael Pittman, maybe you can go get like a Miles Sanders. Can you get Miles Sanders for Michael Pittman? That might be pushing it. Sounds about an even deal there. Ramondre Stevenson, maybe. If people are worried that Damian Harris is going to eat more into that opportunity. There are other guys that you can maybe get cheaper if you can't get anything, if you can't get a deal done with Michael Pittman. Maybe you can, maybe somebody off your bench, you can go and get, Benjamin. He could be a multi-week starter for you. Chuba Hubbard. He's the guy to roster in the Panthers backfield. Rachaad White, like we talked about earlier, he's ascending. He could end up with a significant role in Tampa within the next few weeks. Now, obviously, you would want more than those guys in return for a Michael Pittman. But if you need a short-term, cheap option, those are a few. Keontae Ingram could be another one that could give you a little bit of value in a week or two if you're really desperate. So there's some guys like that you can go and get. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up there. We got a whole show answering questions on Saturday night. Find me right here, either on the Yards Per Fantasy YouTube channel, right here on TikTok. We'll do it around 9 o'clock Eastern time for about an hour. And then we'll do it again 12 o'clock on Sunday, all the way up to kickoff, strictly answering your questions. Like I said before, you can find my rankings at yardsperfantasy.com. You can find our trade calculator at yardsperfantasy.com. You can find, we have a start, sit, lineup assistant tool. You just plug in the players that you are debating between, and it's going to spit out the answer, show you where I have them, each of those players ranked. You can find that at yardsperfantasy.com, or just download the Yards Per Fantasy app. Have all those resources right in your hand, right on your app. It's fantastic. So find all my stuff there, Yards Per Fantasy. Otherwise, I'll see you guys Saturday night. Thanks.